Remember when seeing a Harley on the road meant something? When it wasn't just a motorcycle, it was a statement, a lifestyle, a legacy. Well, those days are over. The bikes are too expensive, the dealerships have turned predatory, and worst of all, the next generation doesn't care. Harley isn't just losing sales, it's losing its soul. And if something doesn't change fast, America's most iconic motorcycle brand won't survive the decade. What's happening? There was a time when seeing a Harley on the road meant something. It wasn't just a motorcycle, it was a message. A roaring declaration of freedom, rebellion, and American pride. Picture it, an old highway slicing through the Arizona desert, golden sun low in the sky, and the low rumble of a V-twin echoing through open air. That image wasn't from a commercial. It was America's soul, rolling on two wheels. For decades, Harley Davidson wasn't just a brand, it was a belief system. Fathers passed down Harleys to sons. Mothers rode them cross-country with their daughters. These bikes weren't disposable toys. They were legacy machines, oiled by stories, soaked in pride, and heavy with identity. In small towns and industrial cities alike, Harleys sat in garages like heirlooms, shining with chrome and memory. They weren't just motorcycles, they were ceremonies. But today, that image is fading fast. And it's not because the roads are empty, it's because Harley lost the road. What was once a working-class icon has become a luxury relic. The younger generation doesn't look at a Harley and see possibility. They see debt, inaccessibility, and a lifestyle that doesn't fit them. The roar of the engine doesn't inspire, it intimidates. The leather, the patches, the exclusivity, it all feels like a uniform from another era. The connection that once made Harley sacred has been severed, and the brand that once stood for independence now stands for irrelevance. The fall of Harley isn't about competition or technology, it's about something deeper. It's about the collapse of meaning. Because for millions of Americans, Harley once meant freedom, and now it means nothing. But that meaning wasn't just lost at a cultural level, it was betrayed at the dealership. The price that broke the brotherhood. Once upon a time, owning a Harley was attainable. It was the motorcycle for the American worker. A few $1,000s, a handshake with the local dealer, and you were on the road living the dream. But somewhere along the way, Harley turned its back on its core customer and chased status over substance. Today, that same American worker walks into a Harley dealership and finds himself priced out of the dream. The entry-level Nightster? It starts at over $13,000, and that's before freight charges, documentation fees, and the infamous dealer markup. Ride it off the lot and you're likely spending closer to $17,000. Want a touring model with all the features? Be ready to fork over $25,000 to $40,000. It gets worse. Dealerships across the country have developed a reputation for hidden fees, financing traps, and high-pressure upsells. A Harley that should cost $20,000 often ends up costing over $30,000. And unlike other brands, Harley dealers rarely negotiate. Why? Because they know some loyalists will pay anything to own the badge. But here's the real betrayal. That loyalty was never meant to be exploited. Harley didn't just raise prices. It broke the trust of the very riders who built the brand. And those riders, they've started walking away. Consider this. For the price of a new Harley, you could buy a new pickup truck. Or you could buy 2 Japanese cruisers with better performance, lower maintenance costs, and friendlier dealerships. And that's not hypothetical. That's exactly what tens of thousands of riders are doing right now. Because Harley didn't just raise its prices, it sold out its soul. But even for those who could afford it, there was a bigger problem. They no longer wanted what Harley was offering. If this truth hits like a bad cam knock, give it a like. And if you want more no-nonsense takes that cut through the showroom smoke, subscribe and wrench with us. A culture trapped in the past. The Harley mystique used to be magnetic, rough around the edges, built on rebellion and powered by camaraderie. But over time, that mystique calcified into something else. Exclusion, elitism, and outdated tradition. And the people Harley needs the most, the next generation of riders, they want no part of it. Walk into a Harley rally today and you'll find more gray hair than grit, leather vests, skull patches, club cuts, and a code of conduct that feels less like freedom and more like a gated community. It's a culture built for a generation that's aging out, and it's doing nothing to bring new blood in. Younger riders don't want to be part of a Harley-only club. They don't want to be judged for riding a Honda or showing up in sneakers instead of steel-toe boots. They want freedom, not conformity. They want bikes that match their lifestyle. Urban, diverse, affordable, inclusive. And Harley missed the memo. Instead of adapting, Harley doubled down. Exclusive events, brand gatekeeping, a culture of real riders only that shut the door on everyone else. And while Harley looked inward, the rest of the motorcycle world opened up. Events like the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, mixed brand adventure rallies, and city-based motorcycle collectives exploded in popularity. These communities didn't care what name was on your tank. They cared that you loved to ride. The truth? A Harley rally today feels more like a museum than a movement. And for a brand built on rebellion, that's the deepest irony of all. Harley didn't just lose the next generation, they lost the momentum. And the financial results made it crystal clear. Sales collapse and a sea of debt. The numbers don't lie. And Harley's numbers tell a brutal story. Sales in North America, their strongest historical market, have been in a downward spiral for more than 5 consecutive years. In markets like Europe and Asia, where Harley once saw growth potential, demand has flatlined or declined. Emerging markets that were supposed to be the lifeline, they've become liabilities. Harley's global sales volume today is a shadow of what it was in the early 2000s. Revenue is slipping. Margins are razor thin, and as inflation drives up manufacturing and distribution costs, Harley's once stable profit model has been flipped upside down. Assembly plants have gone quiet. Orders have been slashed. Dealerships are closing, not just in small towns, but in major markets. Some are converting to other brands. Others are walking away from motorcycling altogether. And on the factory floor, longtime workers are getting pink slips instead of pensions. Harley Davidson is bleeding cash. And the company's leadership? Instead of confronting the cultural and economic reality head-on, they've responded with price hikes, limited edition gimmicks, and brand nostalgia. All while their balance sheet crumbles. The financial collapse of Harley isn't just about losing customers, it's about losing the plot. This isn't a rough patch. It's a full-scale retreat from the global motorcycle industry. And when Harley needed its big comeback, what they did next made things worse. The used market Harley can't kill. It was supposed to be a sign of strength. Harley Davidson motorcycles that held their value year after year, passed down from father to son like a steel heirloom. But now, that very strength has become a curse. The used market is overflowing with meticulously maintained Harleys, most of them garage-kept, low mileage, and loaded with aftermarket upgrades. These bikes are not scrap, they are showroom quality. And that is the problem. They are so good, so durable, and so visually identical to new models that buyers are simply opting out of buying new ones altogether. You walk into a Harley dealership today and see a new Road Glide with a sticker price above $33,000 before hidden fees, accessories, or dealer markups. Then you check Facebook Marketplace or Cycle Trader and find a 5-year-old model barely broken in for $15,000 or less. And if that older bike comes with performance exhaust, a custom seat, and upgraded bars, it is not just cheaper, it is better. Baby boomers are a big reason why. They were Harley's most loyal generation, buying bikes religiously during the brand's peak. But now those same riders are aging out of motorcycling. Some are downsizing, others are quitting riding altogether. Their once prized bikes, now being offloaded in bulk, saturating the market with pristine Harleys that no one wants to pay full price to replicate. Dealerships know this. They see it happening in real time. Empty showrooms, no foot traffic, and trade-in values dropping like rocks. Yet Harley Corporate has remained silent, pretending this is not happening. But how can you sell a new bike when the old one still does the job perfectly, looks just as good, and costs half as much? And while Harley clung to the past, the future arrived in full force. The Japanese giants strike again. The writing was on the wall, and it was written in Japanese. Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki did not just invade the American market in the 1970s, they reshaped it. And now, half a century later, they are doing it again. This time, not with dirt bikes or pocket rockets, but with cruisers and touring bikes that go toe-to-toe with Harley Davidson's best and often come out ahead. Younger riders do not dream about Harleys anymore. They dream about value, and Japanese brands have perfected that equation. For under $10,000, you can walk into a showroom and walk out with a brand new Yamaha Bolt R-Spec. It is lightweight, reliable, modern, and customizable. Compare that to a Harley Nightster at nearly $16,000 before fees, and the choice becomes obvious. It is not just the price tag, it is the performance. These brands offer liquid-cooled engines, advanced rider aids, and superior fuel efficiency. The Honda Rebel 1100, for instance, comes with ride modes, cruise control, and dual-clutch transmission, features that are either missing or marked up on a comparable Harley. And riders are noticing. Ask anyone under 45 who owns a Yamaha why they did not choose a Harley, and you will likely hear a version of the same answer. I am not paying more for less. It is cold, it is calculated, it is brutal, and it is working. But the most dangerous competitor was born right here in America. Indian's comeback is Harley's collapse. There was a time when the words American motorcycle were synonymous with Harley Davidson. No more. Indian has come roaring back, resurrected from the ashes with modern engineering, aggressive pricing, and a message that speaks to riders fed up with Harley's attitude. The symbolism is undeniable. The brand that once died has now returned to bury its rival. Indian did not try to out-Harley Harley. They did something smarter. They made their bikes look classic but ride modern. The Challenger comes equipped with a liquid-cooled Power Plus engine, a 7-inch touchscreen with navigation, and electronic preload adjustability. Meanwhile, Harley's comparable bikes still rely on air-cooled motors and outdated tech, and they cost more. A lot more. And riders noticed. Thousands of Harley diehards have made the switch. Publicly, social media is filled with stories like, "I rode Harleys for 30 years. I test rode an Indian, and that was it." These are not casual weekend riders. These are Harley's core, and they are walking away. Indian's Scout Bobber 60 starts under $11,000. It is fast, fun, and looks phenomenal. It is everything Harley should have offered, but did not. Because Harley was still busy guarding its legacy instead of evolving it. And Harley's next move? Maybe its biggest failure of all. Harley's fake future and the live wire lie. This was supposed to be Harley Davidson's rebirth, an all-electric motorcycle to show the world that Harley could still innovate, that it could still lead. Instead, it became one of the most expensive cautionary tales in motorcycle history. The live wire was sleek, futuristic, and undeniably fast. It could hit 60 miles per hour in just over 3 seconds. But here is the problem. It cost nearly $30,000. That is luxury sport bike territory. And the rider Harley was hoping to attract? Eco-conscious, tech-savvy millennials with tight budgets. A rider that does not exist at that price point. Worse, Harley did not seem to know how to sell it. Was it a Harley? Was it something new? Was it for old-school riders or urban commuters? The brand was confused, the buyers were confused, and the sales numbers were brutal. The live wire flopped so hard that Harley spun it off into its own company, pretending it was always meant to be separate. It was not. And Harley still does not get it. The problem was not the idea, it was the execution. Riders wanted innovation, but they also wanted affordability, serviceability, and brand trust. Harley delivered none of those. Instead, they priced out their core, ignored the new generation, and hid their failure in corporate rebranding. Because Harley's real problem was not the future, it was their refusal to commit to it. Innovation without intention. When Harley Davidson introduced the Revolution Max engine and the Pan America adventure bike, it was supposed to be a turning point, a clean slate, a declaration that Harley was finally ready to evolve. And for a brief moment, it looked like the brand had a shot at relevance again. The Pan America boasted a liquid-cooled V-twin, modern electronics, adjustable suspension, and real off-road capability, all for under $18,000. Riders and reviewers were stunned. Harley had built a serious adventure bike that could go toe-to-toe with the BMW GS, and it did not suck. Then, nothing. Instead of capitalizing on that momentum, Harley froze. They launched the bike, collected a few awards, and then backed away. No aggressive advertising, no expanded lineup, no public narrative that welcomed non-traditional riders into the Harley fold. It was as if they were afraid to succeed outside their usual image, and that hesitation cost them dearly. The same pattern played out with the Revolution Max engine. It was supposed to modernize Harley's core lineup, replacing the aging air-cooled motors with something that could compete in the 21st century. But instead of embracing it fully, Harley limited the engine to just a few niche models. Meanwhile, the bread-and-butter cruisers, the bikes most people recognize, still run on designs that would not look out of place in the 1980s. Why? Because Harley does not know what it wants to be. It flirts with innovation but refuses to commit. It launches new technology but only in controlled, cautious doses. It wants to be modern without losing its old-school charm, but that balancing act has become paralysis. Riders see through it. They are not interested in a brand that treats change like a marketing stunt. They want authenticity, performance, and real commitment. Indian figured that out. So did Honda. Even Royal Enfield, once mocked as a retro joke, is now gaining respect for offering affordable modern bikes with timeless looks. Meanwhile, Harley is stuck making bold announcements, followed by nervous retreats. Because Harley didn't just launch new bikes, they buried them. Dealerships gone rogue. If you ask a Harley rider what finally pushed them to walk away, the answer usually isn't the bike, it's the dealership. Over the years, Harley Davidson has allowed its dealership network to turn into a wild west of markups, hidden fees, and bait-and-switch tactics that make buying a motorcycle feel more like a hostage negotiation than a celebration. Walk into the average Harley dealership today and you are greeted not with hospitality, but with hustle. The advertised price on the website? Forget it. The minute you sit down with a salesperson, you'll learn that the model you want has been customized in-house. Translation: they've bolted on a few accessories and added several $1,000s to the price. Want to decline those upgrades? Too bad. Many dealers refuse to sell you the base model at all, claiming it's against policy. And the financing? Even worse. Dealers push overpriced service plans, tire protection packages, and extended warranties that often duplicate factory coverage. Interest rates are marked up above what most buyers could qualify for through a credit union or outside lender. In some states, predatory lending lawsuits have already been filed against Harley dealerships for misleading practices. This toxic sales environment is not an accident. It's the byproduct of Harley corporate turning a blind eye for too long. Dealerships were allowed to operate like independent kingdoms, doing whatever it took to maximize profits regardless of customer trust. And now that trust is gone, buyers are turning to other brands not just because the bikes are better, but because the buying experience is sane. Honda and Yamaha dealers offer transparent pricing. Kawasaki lets you negotiate. Indian actively promotes nationwide MSRP, matching, and seasonal discounts. Meanwhile, Harley dealers are still playing games, and Harley's refusal to clean house only made it worse. The identity crisis that crushed the brand. For over a century, Harley Davidson stood for something: freedom, rebellion, brotherhood. It was more than a motorcycle brand. It was a badge, a lifestyle. But somewhere along the line, that identity stopped evolving. While the world changed, Harley stood still. And that refusal to change has turned into a full-blown identity crisis. Look at Harley's marketing. It still clings to the same dusty imagery: leather vests, tattooed arms, roaring pipes, and sunset rides down empty desert highways. That image worked in 1985. But today's riders are younger, more diverse, more urban, and more connected. They are not looking for a fantasy about the open road. They are looking for community, flexibility, and personal expression. Harley is not speaking their language. The brand also never adapted its voice. It still sells exclusivity instead of inclusion. You are not just buying a Harley, you are joining a club. But that club has rules, traditions, and unspoken hierarchies. For younger riders, that feels more like pressure than pride. They want bikes that match their lives, not bikes that demand they change who they are. Harley also underestimated how much consumer identity has shifted. Today's rider does not define themselves by brand loyalty. They care about performance, aesthetics, value, and reliability. If Indian delivers that, they will buy Indian. If Yamaha does, they will buy Yamaha. Brand heritage means nothing without cultural relevance, and right now Harley is losing both. And when riders stopped identifying with Harley, Harley's American rivals were ready to finish the job. Tesla, Zero, and the Coup Harley never saw coming. Harley Davidson built the idea of what it meant to ride in America, but now that idea is being rewritten. Not by Harley, not by Indian, but by companies that never made a cruiser at all. Tesla and Zero motorcycles are redefining what it means to be a rider, and they are doing it with speed, silence, and software. Zero, in particular, has spent the last decade quietly building its reputation. Their bikes are not wrapped in chrome or nostalgia. They are fast, efficient, and brutally modern. Riders who once wanted a Harley for its rumble and presence are now test riding Zeros for their torque and tech. These bikes are built for commuters, weekend warriors, and tech-forward adventurers. And crucially, they do not rely on gas stations or oil changes. They are part of a riding future Harley has refused to embrace. Then there is Tesla. While Elon Musk's company has yet to officially launch a motorcycle, the brand has already disrupted Harley's world. Tesla has changed how Americans think about vehicles, speed, charging, and ownership. Its supercharger network is expanding rapidly, and with rumors swirling about a Tesla e-bike or lightweight electric cruiser, Harley's relevance as a forward-thinking company is slipping away even further. Younger riders now associate innovation with Tesla, not Harley. They associate electric performance with Zero, not live wire. And they see the future of riding as being software updated, digitally managed, and frictionless, not carbureted and air-cooled. The coup is not coming. It already happened. Harley just failed to notice it. And when the dust settled, everyone wanted to know who was responsible. The political backlash, Harley unleashed. When a brand like Harley Davidson stumbles, the consequences do not just stay on the showroom floor, they ripple through unions, small towns, voting districts, and presidential campaigns. Harley was never just a motorcycle company, it was a political symbol. And now that symbol is under siege from every direction. Union workers are furious. The United Auto Workers have launched a series of protests and walkouts targeting Harley's plant closures and international outsourcing. Assembly jobs that once supported entire communities in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Missouri have been offshored or automated. What used to be a point of pride, made in America, now feels like a cruel joke to the workers who built the brand. Politicians have taken notice. Republicans blame Harley's collapse on the push for electrification and green energy mandates. Democrats blame corporate greed, executive bonuses, and mismanaged globalization. Governors from Michigan to Arkansas are calling out the company for abandoning workers and dragging down regional economies. Harley's name is no longer just associated with wind in your hair, it is associated with job loss, cultural decay, and boardroom arrogance. Even former President Donald Trump and current contenders like Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom have used Harley's failures as political talking points. One side claims Harley bowed to woke environmentalism, the other argues it refused to modernize fast enough. Either way, Harley Davidson has become a battlefield, a symbol, a wedge. And for the average American, they did not ask for this. They just wanted a bike. But now their purchase, or refusal to buy, is seen as a political act. That's not good business. That's national exhaustion. And the most devastating truth? It may already be too late. The death of a giant. And what fills the void? Harley Davidson may not officially disappear. The name might live on. The shield and bar logo could still be stamped on licensed jackets, belt buckles, and coffee mugs for decades. But the truth is far more sobering. Harley Davidson, as we knew it, is dead. What made Harley matter was not just its bikes, it was the myth it represented. It was the idea that a working-class American could buy freedom on two wheels, roar down Route 66, and feel a kind of rebellious pride that no car could offer. That idea was powerful. It built communities. It built loyalty, and it built an empire. But empires fall. Today, Harley is not leading the pack. It is not defining the culture. It is not pushing the industry forward. It is react slowly, awkwardly, and without conviction. Its bikes are overpriced, Its dealers are distrusted, its younger audience is gone, and its core demographic aging out. What fills the void is not one single brand, but a fragmented ecosystem of smarter, faster, cheaper, and more inclusive alternatives. Honda gives you bulletproof reliability. Zero gives you electric torque. Indian gives you American muscle with modern upgrades. And Tesla might one day give you all of it with a subscription plan. The future of riding will be lighter, leaner, more digital, and more diverse. And Harley, stuck between nostalgia and hesitation, may never catch up. Yes, Harley may survive on paper. It may continue to make bikes. It may sell branded apparel and license its name like a fading rock band on its 5th reunion tour. The fall of Harley isn't just about motorcycles. It's about what happens when a brand forgets who it's really for. So what do you think? Is Harley worth saving? Or is this the end of the road? Drop your take in the comments, and if this gave you something to think about, like and subscribe. This conversation's only just beginning.